You know, people talk about humility, saying humility is a trait of a good man. I agree and I disagree. People say you gotta be humble for you to be a good man. I don't believe so. I'm sorry. In order for you to be humble, you must first be strong for it to be relevant. Let me repeat myself. Your humbleness can only be relevant if you are strong already. Weak people cannot pretend to be humble. They're not humble. They're just weak. If you have no power, you can't say, I'm humble. I'm not going to speak out for myself because I'm humble. No, you're not humble. You're unable. You are disabled. You have no ability to speak for yourself. You have no ability to defend your cause. Therefore, you stay quiet. So you are not quiet because you're choosing. It's not by choice. It's by default. So in order for you to say that you're a good man, you first must be strong, independent, and powerful. Then make a choice in spite of my power and my ability not to react. That is humbleness. That's what we respect. The world doesn't respect humbleness molded into poverty and lack of resources. Nobody respects that. You remember the uncle in the village or in your city who has no money and nothing, even though he's an uncle, okay? Probably older than your mother or your father. People don't really much respect him. They don't listen to him very much. I mean, you could sit around a table talking about some very relevant things about the family. He brings out his opinion. People don't listen to him because he has no money, no position. And this is not just because of money. You must have some form of power for your humbleness to be recognized. You know what the reason why? I mean, one of the reasons why Africa can't sit on the table of great countries. Let's talk about Security Council. You know what Security Council is? Security Council is 5 countries, okay? They make the rules and the choices of the world. It's the United States of America, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom. Those 5 countries, if they say A, any country in the world, let's say 190 countries say we want B. If one of those countries say we're not going to have B, we're going to have A, well, they're going to vote for A. That is the power they have of the Security Council, the veto power. Now, Africans are asking to enter, to be part of the veto powers, or to have a seat at the Security Council. We've seen all that. One of the reasons why they cannot sit there is because that Security Council was built on power. It was after World War II. The winners of World War II got the seat at the Security Council. So it was power first. You must be strong first before you say, okay, let's have a discussion. Well, you can't change the Security Council if you have no ability. All of those countries have nuclear power. Now you have no nuclear power, you just dance, and you think you're going to sit at the Security Council. It's not possible. That's what I'm talking to you about humbleness. Somebody came online one day looking at my video, said this guy talks about Africa, but he's not humble. Why am I supposed to be humble to you, my brother? Do you know me? Do we know each other? Well, why am I supposed to be humble again? Please explain to me. Humble for what? Am I here as your cousin having to be humble to you so I can pass a message? Can you not listen to my message without you paying attention to my personality? Is it about my personality or is it about the message they're going through? And generally, we all know in Africa, people ask you to be humble so they can disrespect you without you having to react, right? Well, you're a photographer. We're not going to pay you 1,000 as we promised. We can only pay you 600 because, well, we had many other issues. You know, the party wasn't exactly what we expected. Therefore, we expect you to be humble and accept that. That's Africans' type of humbleness. That's how they want you to be. They want you to be humble, shut your mouth, let them disrespect you. Let me criticize you. If you push back, it means you're not humble. You're not going to do that with me, my brother. Well, Uganda understand that. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. My name is Zack. Thank you for stopping. You know you've done the right choice. This is where we talk about the motherland. We don't sugarcoat here, okay? We love you. We want you to stay. No doubt about that. Click on the button, subscribe so we can see each other every single day. And you know, here we talk about the motherland. No sugarcoating. Uganda understands humbleness takes you nowhere. Well, Uganda is making history, my brother. They're launching Africa's first largest AI infrastructure project. Congratulations. Piga makofi, yeah, piga makofi. Clap your hand in Swahili. That's piga makofi. Uganda understands the assignment and they're building the largest Africa's AI infrastructure project. It's called the Ionian Project, centered around USIO sovereign supercomputers. This marks a major leap in digital sovereignty and innovation in the continent. Congratulations to Uganda. I mean, this is the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. He's not liked by everybody, but clearly he's doing something, okay? I mean, who is liked by everybody? Nobody. I mean, he's not perfect. He's a human being. He makes his mistakes. Some people loathe him. I mean, some people loathe God. They hate God. I'm not saying Museveni is God. I'm saying he's not perfect. But let's stick to this. Let's talk about this. Great project. Major infrastructure project. Uganda is building a 100 megawatt hyperscale AI project inside a 600 megawatt Karuma hydropower. So they have a hydropower named Karuma. 600 megawatts. Inside that hydropower, they're going to build an AI factory. The biggest in Africa. Why is this big done? Because this is very important. Because Uganda wants to be one of the first countries to retain AI compute power within Africa. Number 2, train models on African data and languages. So AI will be trained in African models and languages in Africa. Number 3, support local innovation in healthcare, education, and research. Isn't that a beautiful thing? My brother, nobody respects humble people with no money. No one respects humble people with no power. No one respects toothless lion. Nobody. Oh, that lion, such a powerful lion, but he has no teeth. No, you gotta have teeth, okay? Security Council is people with nuclear power. Now, AI is also power coming. It's powerful. If you don't jump on the train, you're gonna be left behind. You're gonna be crying, yeah, why is the war unfair? The war is unfair, my friend. There's no such thing as fairness. It doesn't exist. It's in your mind. That's your mentality. Fairness only comes when you're strong. That's why the strong people write history. The history you read in books is by the strong people. The lions write the history. The gazelle don't write history. And I know a lot of you here, you fantasizing on when the gazelle is going to write his own history. No, you can't be a gazelle. Gazelles don't write history. It's only lions. You need to transform. What are the goals here? Goal number 1, data sovereignty. Okay, so reduce Africa dependence on foreign data center. My brother, your cell phone, your identity, your name, your date of birth is in a data center that belongs to Europeans and Americans, not yours. So you have no power over your own identity. Number 2, local languages. AI is going to be enabled to research and build on models in African languages. Why is African languages important? China understood that. China, after World War II, was a poor country, very poor. They only have rice. That's what they had. I know Africans cry out, you cry over slavery, colonialism. China was also part of the countries that suffered. They suffered a lot, trust me. Maybe not on the same scale, but this longevity-wise, but they suffered a lot. But they didn't cry over themselves. They understood the assignment. In China, people learn in Chinese. Okay, they go to university in Chinese. So they model on Chinese model. Today, China produces the most engineers and doctors and everything in the world. They don't learn in English and French. In the meantime, French-speaking African countries mock each other when you don't pronounce French properly. For them, in order for you to be intelligent, you must pronounce like a white French man. So for the English person, it's going to be, you got to have an accent like a British. If you have no accent as a British person, you're not intelligent. So you must have some ba'a in your bread. You must spray some ba'a and have some water. If you don't water and ba'a, it means you have no intelligence. That's for the French African people. That is the level of colonialism that you find in these countries colonized by France. It's sad. Africa needs to build on their own AI based on African languages. Chinese did with Chinese, not with English or French. If you go to China, you don't see no English or French in the machine. It's Chinese, Mandarin, and whatever. Africa needs to do that. You can't become a genius person with other people's language. And I know we speak in Swahili because English is the language that links us here. Because, you don't want to learn Swahili, the most spoken language in Africa. Let's get started. Number 2, digital independence. Okay, this position Uganda as a regional tech hub and AI leader. Congratulations to Uganda. Beautiful country. Look at this country. It's amazing. Some of the partiest people I've ever met, and the nicest nyash. If you're looking for nyash, my brother, go check Uganda nyash. Okay, forget about the nyash. Now there are plenty positive things coming with AI. Okay, good things about AI is about like incident detection. Let's look at China. Chinese model is very interesting. They have AI all over the country. In China, there's nothing you can do and be undetected. Impossible. They have cameras every single where. Now, the good thing about AI, enabled countries like China is like incident detection. The AI identify, for instance, an accident in the road, okay, or illegal parking, right? What does AI do? It instantly dispatch responder faster. So the responders go to you. So if you don't park correctly, they come and correct you. It is good, yes, it is good. But can you make a mistake? Yes. Would you like to be sprayed when you make a mistake? Yes. Now it is good in that sense, I don't know. Okay, but AI can censor all that stuff and send data. Number 2, AI has sensors, okay, like in China. Let's see the advantage of AI. Okay, AI system analyze feeds. They look into traffic. Okay, they observe cameras and GPSs. You see, like Google, Google tells you where there's traffic jam and stuff. Now, in China, it's advanced. They can see the road and actually suggest you a better route. In fact, a trigger lights, street lights in a moment so that the traffic flows better. Meaning, if this light is red and that one is red, and there are people coming this way, the red light on the second line will be greened so the people can pass. By the time it's red, this one is green and there's no traffic jam. So it makes the flow easier. It reduced traffic jam in China by 15%. That is a beautiful thing. Okay, you see some positive things, but AI doesn't come with no negative. Negative number one, you have no more privacy. It's finished. They know who you were talking to. They know the side chick because they saw you, the camera saw you, everything saw you. They know how often you go to their house. They can transfer those data to the main lady. I mean, or to court if you go to divorce, or if she unjustly want to divorce you, then they can track you, say, okay, we can see here he was here and there. Matter of fact, if you have something negative to say to the government or about the government, then you're in trouble. So freedom of speech, freedom of mobility, it's reduced. Now, it is beautiful, yes. Now, what happens if this technology falls within the hand of a dictator or somebody very dangerous? That becomes a problem, okay? That becomes a problem. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Like I said earlier, humility is beautiful, okay? But don't be humble with weakness. It's not humility. You're just weak. You got to be strong first. I think people must be intelligent. You must be able to stand your ground, to speak your mind before you choose to be humble. You can't be, okay, I'm illiterate. I have no ability to defend myself. That's why I'm humble. No, you're just a weak person. You survive behind other people. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. It was a great pleasure. We want you here. We love you. This is brother. This is your home. I mean, this is where you gotta be. We're gonna have podcasts from this week. We're going to launch lots of podcasts. We're going to discuss subjects, multiple subjects. Social, speak about different countries. You know what it is. Let me know how you feel about this. We want your comment. Is this a good move by Uganda, or is this dangerous? Because you must remember, Ugandan president has been there for a long time. Imagine you're owner of multiple houses in one settlement. How do you call it? A compound. Nigerians say compound, or a townhouse, or a estate, right? Some people call it estate, right? Where there are multiple houses in one centralized, you know what I'm saying? Now imagine you own it and everybody in there is a tenant to you. However, a neighbor comes and seems to be visiting one of the people in the houses, and he says all of a sudden to your children, not listen to your father. Like saying to your children not to listen to you because you're crazy. You're like, no, don't listen to your father no more. When he asks you to go and speak to him, don't do it anymore. He is a crazy man. What do? Do you throw them out? Do you get the F out of my house because, yeah, or not? Well, it sounds right. But what if you're crazy for real? What if you really is crazy? That's a big trouble, right? What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. My name is Zack. Thank you very much for stopping. I see you. I love you. Yes, I do love you, my brother. Thank you for stopping. This is home, okay? You want to know about the motherland and our beautiful discussion about Africa, you're at the right place. Thank you. We like you here. We want you to stay. Click on the button, subscribe so we can see each other every single day, okay? Great stuff. First thing first, my music video is out. Go check it out. Go have a look. Go see your boy. You love it. Great. Now, we were talking about a father who owns a space and the neighbor comes in and say he's crazy and urging his children not to listen to him. You said you're going to kick him out, right? But the question is, what if you really is crazy? Okay, what if you really are crazy? Should the children just listen to you blindly? Well, this is something that just occurred. The president of Colombia went to the United States of America and had a megaphone, okay? They had a meeting with many people, like pro-Palestinians, and he was screaming on the megaphone, addressing American soldiers, saying, do not listen to Donald Trump. Do not raise your weapon against innocent people. He is a crazy man.
This global force has to be bigger than that of the United States. That's why from here, in New York, I ask all soldiers of the Army of the US not to point their guns at people. Disobey the orders of Trump. Obey the orders of humanity.
Crazy stuff, isn't it? I mean, this is one of the boldest things I've ever seen. It's insane in modern time, right? Like, how many presidents of Africa would dare do such thing? Well, the United States of America will revoke the visa of the Colombian president, Gustavo Petro, following what officials describe as a reckless and incendiary action during the street protest in New York City, according to the U.S. State Department. So the U.S. say they're going to revoke his visa. Now, you probably ask yourself, how come he's got a visa to the US anyway? Well, he has to get a visa to go to the US. And you're asking yourself, if this person doesn't like the president of the United States of America, why would he go to the US? Well, the president of Colombia went to the US to attend the meeting of the United Nations. Yes, the United Nations base is based in the United States of America, in New York. Who decided that? Well, question mark. The strong people always decide. The Colombian head of state was seen with a megaphone addressing a crowd, pro-Palestinian protesters on Friday afternoon. Earlier this week, he had given fierce address in the 18th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he openly criticized American foreign policy and called for legal actions against US President Donald Trump. This is a president of a country calling for legal actions against Donald Trump, stating that Donald Trump is complicit in the of people in Gaza. So he should be brought to justice. And this is in America, my brother. This is insane.
Trump not only lets missiles fall on young people in the Caribbean, he not only imprisons and chains migrants, but he also allows missiles to be launched at children, young people, women, and the elderly in Gaza. He becomes complicit in genocide because it is genocide, and we must shout it again and again.
This is insane. Now, America says this: we will revoke Petro's visa due to his reckless and incendiary actions. This is the State Department via X. You know what I mean? It's crazy. He urged US soldiers to disobey orders. Now, they're calling it inciting violence. Okay, now, very interesting, isn't it? Congo. This is Congo. Okay, Congo, Brazzaville. There are two Congos. I know it's a bit confusing when you talk about the Congo. There's this Congo right here and this Congo. This is called DRC. This is Congo Brazzaville. Or not Congo Brazzaville, it's called Republic of Congo. Now, when you hear about mayhem, people being unalive, wars and stuff, it's this Congo, DRC. Now, this is the other Congo we're talking about. Now, they're supposed to be the same people, at least by the borders, speaking a very same language, which is Lingala and some other languages in Kikongo. However, when the colonialists came, he took this Congo, small one, and made it a French colony, and the big Congo became a Belgian colony. Unfortunately, today people immature in two Congos have eternal beefs. They barely get along with each other. Like crazy. Like we are the true Congolese, not you. Like how stupid is that? Like it's insane. Anyway, get back on track. The president of Congo say that enough is enough. Okay, enough is enough. Africa needs a permanent seat in the Security Council. The United Nations Security Council must be more representative and transparent.
Le Conseil de Sécurité, the Security Council in its current composition and structure, no longer accurately reflects the geopolitical balance of power and influence in our contemporary world. It is therefore absolutely urgent and imperative to fundamentally reform it, not just in theoretical discussions, but in practical, tangible implementation. Africa, a continent of immense potential and growing importance, can no longer remain marginalized and excluded from these crucial global decision-making processes. It is a continent of more than 1,400,000,000 inhabitants. It is truly a magnificent continent of the future, of vibrant youth, of immense untapped potential, to which we must now absolutely guarantee full, complete, and equitable participation in global decision-making processes. I say this emphatically. Africa, a continent of significant global importance, truly deserves permanent and equitable representation on the United Nations Security Council, a vital international body.
This is what he said during his address. He says, the United Nations Security Council does not reflect the demography of the world. Africa should receive a permanent seat as a matter of legitimate partnership, citing a continent of 1.4 billion human beings. Now you're probably asking yourself, let's get back on track, okay? What is the UN Security Council? The US Security Council is formed of 5 countries. These 5 countries have a veto power. What is the veto power? Veto power is the ability to say no to everybody without having to justify themselves. Yeah, they can just say no to your country and you sit in a corner. No, we don't like you. We're going to sanction you. That's them. There are 5 countries that have veto power. The United States of America, the UK, China, Russia, and France. How did they get there? Well, they got there after World War II, okay? After winning World War II against Hitler. The countries are supposed to be allied, okay? Working together, gave each other that privilege of being top countries. So deciding for the world. Security Council was created to avoid another Second World War. Okay, they thought that if the Security Council existed, they would have avoided World War II. Were they right? We don't know. It was created on June 26, 1945. Why do we have 5 countries on top? Because back in time, they spoke about historical representation. So back in time, there were much more people in the West than there were other places. And there were the powerful countries. So they needed to show themselves as powerful. Even though they say the United Nations was created with the goal of preventing any further war, like bloody war, from happening, they needed to protect their own interest as winners of the war. The US, the UK, Russia, China, and France. Now, by creating veto power, it enables them to protect themselves. Let me explain to you stupidly what veto power is. Now, let's say a weak country is being bombed by a neighboring country, and this country goes and asks for help from the United Nations. Now, everybody says, okay, we need to go and help this country from removing the negative powers that are stealing from them. Now, everybody votes. Let's say the 190 countries voting, they can go and help remove the culprit. And one of these 5 say, no, we are not going. You are not going. That's the veto power. So if everybody votes, let's help Cuba be happy. Let's help them have a great economy. And one of the countries say no, and it's no. Okay? That's the power of veto. This has been created not by mistake. It is being created to preserve and protect the power of the country that perceive themselves as superior to other countries. Are you with me? Now, African people are saying no, okay? And this is not new. Robert Mugabe many years ago spoke about it. He said Africans need to be part of the Security Council. Reform the Security Council. Who makes you think you're better than everybody else? Why do you think 5 countries can decide for everybody else in the world? Africa has more than 1.4 billion human beings, even more. Like,
we are supposed to be free and independent, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Supposed to be free, the 54 countries. We come to the United Nations, it's ceremonial. Every year, September, we are there. We pay lots of money to go there. And to the General Assembly, we make speeches, we go back home, year in, year out. But the bosses in the Security Council say, you shall never have the powers that we have as permanent members. And we have asked and asked and asked, and asked and asked, reform the Security Council. I want to tell you, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, you are a good man. You are a good man. But of course, we can't make you a fighter. That's not what your mission was. We will fight a fight for our own identity, for our own integrity and personality as Africans. We are Africans.
Why do you think we should wait for you to decide for us? Like, are we really living in a free world? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Are we really equal? Does justice really exist? Or it's just nonsense they narrate to fit their own narrative? Mugabe asked for reform. What did they do to him? They sanctioned his country. They made sure it became a poor country, and Zimbabweans are still suffering up to now. Mohamed Gaddafi asked for reform. What happened to him? They unalived him.
One country has a permanent seat, another country does not have a permanent seat. We should not accept this, nor should we accept any resolution adopted by the Security Council in its current composition. We are under trusteeship. We were colonized, and now we were independent. We are here today to decide the future of the world in a democratic way that will maintain the peace and security of all nations, large and small, as equals. Otherwise, it is terrorism. For terrorism is not just Al-Qaeda, but can also take other forms. We should be guided by the majority of the votes in the General Assembly alone. If the General Assembly takes the decision by voting, then its wishes should be obeyed and its decision should be enforced. No one is above the General Assembly.
Now, the president from Congo has asked for reform. And after him, guess who? Ruto. William Ruto. I know many of you find Ruto is controversial. He's a very interesting human being. Ruto comes with good ideas. Ruto also says that things need to change. We need to give Africans a seat at the Security Council so they can decide for Africans. He says reforming the Security Council is not a favor to Africa or anybody. It is a necessity for the United Nations on survival.
All must understand that reforming the Security Council is not a favor to Africa or to anybody. It is a necessity for the United Nations' own survival. If the United Nations is to remain relevant in this century, it must reflect today's realities, not the post-war power arrangements of 1945.
Africans are seeing that the United Nations is just a game. Talk about freedom and equality, there's no such thing. 5 countries want to stay on top of everybody else. President of South Africa, this man right here, Cyril Ramaphosa, criticized the council for failing to uphold international laws, citing crises in Gaza, in Sudan, in DRC. He said the Security Council has proven to be ineffective in the current form of composition, carrying out its charter mandates to maintain international peace. So the United Nations Security Council has failed because its goal was to preserve countries from getting into war, protecting securities across the world, creating cooperation between countries. Now, why do Africans want a seat at the United Council? Because they feel there's underrepresentation of Africans. We are many people in the world. How can they decide for us? Why? Why do they decide for us? So we need to be represented. We need to have a permanent seat. Guess what? A while back during Biden administration, I don't remember what that lady's name. She said Africans should not get a space in the United Nations Security Council. It's going to disrupt the structure of the power. That's what she said.
We don't want to give up our veto power. And we do think if we expand that veto power across the board, it will make the council more dysfunctional.
Africans want another spot. Why? Because there are many conflicts happening in Africa right now, which involve external actors. Yes, Burkina Faso, there's conflict. External actors are involved because they want to keep Burkina Faso into problems. DRC has conflict. External powers are involved because in DRC you find all sort of minerals you're looking for. It's the most richest country in the world in terms of mineral. Gold, diamond, lithium, cobalt, coltan, uranium, you name it, they have it. So everything you need for cell phones, computers, missiles, satellite is in the DRC. And all these big companies, they need to be somewhere in the DRC, but they don't want to come in officially. Why they don't want to come in officially? Because the government will tax them. They will ask them for money, a lot of money. But if they create mayhem, they create problems, conflict, they sponsor some bunch of people to give them weapons to create havoc, especially in areas where there are gold, diamonds, uranium, and all the stuff they need. They could get stuff from those people at a very cheap price. So if Africa had a seat at the Security Council, they could have called big shots, big things so that war could end. Now, because we don't have that seat, we can't control things that are happening in Africa. Matter of fact, even when they sit down to talk about, issues in Africa, Africans are not even there during the Security Council meeting. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about stuff in your house, but you're not allowed to be in there. And they're deciding for you. The legitimacy of the United Nations Security Council, and its credibility. It's crazy. People are asking questions. What are they there for? Okay? Using this veto power, blocking things for their own personal interest, disregarding lives and stuff like that. Here are some of the instances that these countries use veto power to do things that are very interesting. The United States of America has used its veto power 30 times to block resolution critical of the country you don't name. So whenever people try to do something against the country you don't name, the United States of America veto, and they have vetoed it 30 times. In 2024, they vetoed the resolution of full membership for the other country, the other country. Even though other people favored it, they say, let's give them the country. America vetoed it. Cuba, this is Cuba. The United States has issued sanctions on Cuba for 60 years. 60 years this country's been sanctioned because they didn't want to open business to the United States of America. Guess what happened? The country's gone to the gutter. They go through difficulty. There's no medicine, no food. Look at Cuba. As you can see on the walls, it looks very old. Okay, the cars and the stuff, it looks very old because nobody's allowed to go in there. If you try to go in there in business, you're gonna have problems with America. So America basically is like that big guy in class who's got big muscles, and he tells you, don't talk to Robert. if you talk to Robert, I'm going to beat you up. Yeah, that's literally you speak to Robert, he breaks your jaw because there's nobody to speak for you. Now, a few years ago, most of the countries in the world voted to lift sanctions against Cuba, to allow Cubans to have a good life, good medication, good technology and stuff. Guess who vetoed it? 2 countries. Guess who vetoed it? You know what it is. Let me know how you feel about this. We have the Colombian president standing against Trump, have the courage to pull up a big microphone and say you should not go to war. He was addressing American soldiers. Don't go unalive people for free. This man is crazy. Don't do it. US said they're going to revoke his visa. Well, he has to go to America to attend the United Nations meetings because it is in America. So whether America likes him or not, they have to issue him a visa. Now, American government said they're going to remove his visa because he's creating mayhem and havoc in the United States of America. African presidents are standing strong now, very slowly. Are they going to do anything about it? Or is he just speaking? Congo president, Ruto, Cyril Ramaphosa all spoke about the same thing. What can they really do? Because are these people going to respect? This is an interesting video from the president of South Africa, ex-president Thabo Mbeki, explaining the relationship between South Africa and Zimbabwe. For context, a lot of Zimbabweans live in South Africa. Many of them. Many of them come illegally. Some of them are legally. Some of them are legally in the country. But as the news goes, the majority are illegal in South Africa. And unfortunately, many are accused of many negative things, many dark activities. Is this truth? Well, data say this is relatively truth in many cases. However, many South Africans have grown undesiring of foreigners, illegal foreigners, especially Zimbabweans, because they take up some jobs which are like security guard, gardening, and many other jobs at a very lower price, very lower salary than a South African, a local South African would take, therefore creating a big problem. The local South African will lack the boss to create a job in an environment where the salary is equitable and acceptable. The Zimbabwean coming from Zimbabwe looking for better opportunities will accept any price because he's on a survival mode. Now, many South Africans accuse Zimbabweans of chasing white people from their country, wanting to take the land by force. Then after they chased white people from the country, following them into South Africa, because the majority of those whites chased from Zimbabwe crossed into South Africa. And they were accepted by their white brothers who gave them lands and many other things so they can continue working as agriculture. Now, why would you chase your white people from your country and follow white people that you chased in my country and creating mayhem at the same token? When we talk about mayhem here, we're talking about Zimbabweans using South Africans' facilities such as public hospitals to get treated. Many Zimbabweans are treated in South Africa with public facilities where you pay nothing or almost nothing for treatment. And many South Africans have grown unhappy about that. President Mbeki tells a story which is very interesting. Let's watch.
And so OR says to Prime Minister Mugabe, we can operate. So wow. Prime Minister Mugabe says, well, okay, if that's your decision, fine. Now, why don't we arrange that Thabo here and Emerson must sit together and work out how you are going to operate.
Wow.
Now, comrades, I'm saying all of these things. I don't think they've been said before. We worked out a system of cooperation.
Wow.
Which meant Zimbabwe Defense Force actually moved a battalion of the army to the banks of the Limpopo. The reason for that was that we could then bring in weapons from Zambia into Zimbabwe, which the Zimbabwe army would pick up at the border, take them through Zimbabwe to that battalion so that our people so that our people would then come into Zimbabwe carrying no weapons. Instead, the Zimbabwe government would issue them with false identity cards. There were a lot of roadblocks at that time. So as they go through as Zimbabweans and collect their weapons on the banks of the Limpopo.
So Mbeki is basically saying here that Zimbabweans gave some of the South Africans Zimbabwean passports so they can cross into Zimbabwe and not be stopped by the apartheid regime. So Zimbabwe, as a brother African country, helped some of the South Africans to cross by giving them Zimbabwean passport. Remember, at the time, black South Africans couldn't just move for no reason. They had to have a visa in their own country because the country was controlled by white people. And Zimbabwe played a role in helping some of the liberators of South Africa into free movement and many other things. This is interesting. Let's go.
I'm saying this is April, May 1980.
Wow.
There were other decisions that were taken, like the Zimbabwe government would issue us with passports which identify some of us as Zimbabwean in order to facilitate movement in the context of any matter that would be sensitive. So instead of me traveling as Thabo Mbeki to some secret meeting somewhere in the world, I would travel as Patrick Joao.
Now, as we hear this, my question is, yes, Zimbabwe helped South Africa in that instance, in training, in capabilities, in administrative power, and many other things. But my question is, just because you helped me in the past, does it mean you can come to my country and do whatever you want? Okay, just because you helped me in the past, are you going to be reminding me of that forever? I mean, somebody helped you in a specific time in your life. You're in trouble. You're in difficulty. You succeed in life and you're doing great. You got your businesses and stuff. Are you now indebted to them forever? Like every time they remind you, I helped you. Let me live in your house. I helped you. Let me stay in your bathroom. I helped you. Let me use your toothbrush. When do you say enough is enough? Like now it's time for you to, let's go.
Which meant Zimbabwe Defense Force actually moved a battalion of the army to the banks of the Limpopo. The reason for that was that we could then bring in weapons from Zambia into Zimbabwe, which the Zimbabwe army would pick up at the border, take them through Zimbabwe to that battalion, so that our people so that our people would then come into Zimbabwe carrying no weapons. Instead, the Zimbabwe government would issue them with false identity cards. There were a lot of roadblocks at that time. So as they go through as Zimbabweans and collect their weapons on the banks of the Limpopo. I'm saying this is April, May 1980.
Can we say that the reaction of South Africans are 100% justified? I don't know. Can we say that all South Africans are asking for is illegal people to be legal? Not necessarily, because we've seen some videos where in the hospital, some South Africans were saying that we don't want illegal people in the hospitals. They asked people to provide their IDs. Most of the people couldn't provide the IDs and they left. But there was a person who provided the ID saying, here's my ID. They're still refusing me entry. They say, we don't want you. We still don't want you because you're not from here.
Are you immigration? You are not an immigration. This is my ID book. This is my ID book. And then you give me the right. No, you don't have the right. Come and take advantage. No, you are not an. Are you an immigration officer? Are you immigration officer? Yes, then this is my ID. I am from the president. This is my ID. I have an ID. You don't have one. No. Call an immigration. No.
Now, can we say that that is not good? Now, also, you must remember, these people are not representative of the entire country. Okay? Those are a bunch of people that are feeling some type of way. You must also remember that sometimes negative people are found everywhere in the world. So you may find a bunch of negative people that have inflicted or that have entered the system that's supposed to be good and brought them negative mentality. And therefore, you as a public, what do you think? You start thinking that all South Africans are xenophobic. Just one or two or three acted xenophobically on TV or via media. So you can't say all of that we're seeing is a representation of all South Africans. Now, should the South African government do something about this in showing that we are not xenophobic? Because some people began to think that maybe the South African government is actually endorsing this because they're not reacting. The president has spoken a few times.
I've directed the Minister of Police to have a meeting at hostels with the Indunas, because this violence is now mutating and taking different forms that represent themselves in a way that we do not want to see in South Africa, where communities seem to be attacking one another. So we want this to stop, and I want it to stop immediately. The people of our country want to live in harmony, and whatever grievance and concerns that people have, we need to handle it in a democratic way. We need to handle it by discussing concerns and problems that we may have. And we've done so very well in the past on a number of other very difficult issues. And this is precisely what we should continue doing. So there is just no justification whatsoever for any South African to go out of their way to attack people from other countries. We need to act in a way where we give respect to people from other countries and show them that they are welcome to be in our country. We need to deal with our own problems in a way where we sit down and discuss those issues with the various structures that we have. We cannot accept sense that South Africans do not welcome Africans or other people from other countries. We cannot do that, because we are welcomed in other countries.
The president has spoken, made it clear that we want an Africa that's open in terms of business. We will not tolerate people that take the law within their own hand, who are not mandated by the government to do negative things to any other African person. That is respectable. Now, does that mean you should not leave your country, go to other people's country because the countries say they're not xenophobic? Absolutely not. I think it comes a time you need to learn how to be a good neighbor or a good visitor. You can visit somebody's house if every day you come, you bring bread. I'm telling you, you can. Look, number one, you can't visit somebody every single day, because even the Bible says at some point they'll be tired of you. But you can visit somebody every day if you bring in bread, you bring biscuit, you brought meat. Hey, I got meat here. Hey, they will accept you because you bring in things. Now, you may say, why this friendship is based on things. But well, brother, you're going to his house every day. He must have a reason to be excited about you, unless you know how to retract and be away for some time. Let me know about this. Africa wants to come together, but as much as we need to come together to build bridges and create an environment that's free, we still need to respect one another. How do we get to that? There is a lot of work to be done. God bless.